here. We are live, guys. We are live.
Oh, here we go.
Let's
go. Let's do it. What's happening? What's going on?
Not much. Devin the Gamer, it's a thing now. It's a thing. It's a thing we're going to try to figure out how long and how often we're going to be doing it. So.
Yeah, no doubt. And especially if we get it in the right times, and since, if our times are more flexible now, then
of course,
doing it during the day, trying to get that in, and try to do it at that point in time. I think that's a positive. You know what I'm saying? You got to excuse me if I look like a mush willy. I'm trying to grow the rest of the beard out, because the way that I always get it cut is kind of low. So I want to get a kind of more fuller one. So yeah, if I'm looking like a mush willy, go ahead and you can say hashtag mush willy, but that's okay. When it's all said and done and I get it edged up and everything, it'll be looking slick. But for right now, I just got to look like a woolly mammoth. It's okay. Anyway, what's happening, everybody? The Dev and the Gamer is here. It has returned. It's been a minute, but Don had to take care of some business. On top of, I had to also had a situation that went on family wise, and so we had to take care of that as well. But we're here. It's just one of those things, man. It may seem like it will go away for a little while, but it'll always come back. It is like a herpes, I guess.
Yeah, this podcast is like a cortisone shot you need every once in a while, right?
Every once in a while. Need a booster. But anyway, so what's been going on with you, Don? How you been, man?
Big things have been happening. It's been crazy and exciting and fun and little scary because it's something new. But it's been a good thing. I've been bought a new home, setting up a new studio, going fully independent. This all happened in a very short period of time, and things are moving. Almost got the studio done. I would call it 1.0. The 2.0 studio is going to be built a little bit later because that's going to be built in the basement. But the 1.0 studio is good. I got the full green screen up on the back wall now, and then I have the have all the sound panels hung up. Just did all the wiring for run the internet properly through the room, all that sort of stuff. And it's going to be my streaming space, game development space, creating YouTube videos again, sort of space. So a lot of things are going to be happening there. So it's going to be good. Nice.
Excellent. And for you guys out there, share this out. Let people know that we are live. I'm doing it as we speak. Because I'm kind of dragging. I've been playing a certain game that I've never played before, and so I think that's the first thing that we should get into. We should talk about, which is Flight Simulator.
Oh, okay. I know your wife was way into that.
Yeah, she is. She's at work, and she has just been itching. I showed her a couple of things last night. She was. She was wanting to look at it and see it, and I show her the Bora Bora, and then I showed her out there in Mount St. Helens, and there was kind of like a little display scene, and she was just so hyped. And she was like, and of course she was like, "Oh, this game is pretty," but then the first thing she's like, "Let me see the gauges." What? What are you talking about? The gauges? Let me see this out the cockpit.
See if it's accurate or not.
Yeah, she was.
I gotcha.
She was about it. Yeah, so I was really shocked, man, because like I said, my wife is not a gamer like that. She has been gaming here more lately since I've gotten her ever since I had the Xbox One X. Funny story with that is that it broke on me and messed up because it had an update, and then it just kept it dormant for a long time. I sit there and I was like, man, I called Xbox. They was like, there's really nothing we could do. I mean, we could fix it, but the warranty's out. And so, and they said that's going to cost like, I think $175. And they said, that's really, you're paying more. You should just, put that money into buying a Series S or whatever. So I was like, man. And then so I just eventually just came back and said, look, man, something's got to be done. So I kept letting that thing run for about like half a day, like just trying to get that update, and then it finally did it. It finally did the update.
Kind of pushed it
And
through, is what you're saying.
yeah. It was some kind of I had to force the issue, and then because it's been reliable for the whole time that I had it. I've been had it ever since like day one. Once it came, I think the week after, that week after, but haven't had any problems with it. And so eventually it started working. And I was a little nervous, but then I was like, you know what, I'm going to give me a Series S. I was going to trade it in, but then I was like, no, it's working. It seemed to be fine. And then it was close with the DVD player, but then my wife didn't really care about the DVD player. So, so I was like,
funny story about that. So we kind of use my wife uses it as a multimedia device. But when we moved into the new home, and by the way, thanks for all the congratulations in the chat. It's not going unnoticed, just so you guys go.
Yeah.
I just have to keep the show going. But, she's like, there's a way to just rip them? Yeah, I can create a Plex server and do all that sort of stuff. We're just going to create a Plex server and rip all our music on that. And we'll still, not music, but our movies on that, because you're allowed to do that. You're just not allowed to distribute it. And then, basically I'll be able to just play that through my S, just like I'm streaming anything else, but just streaming my own home network, which is pretty awesome. So,
yeah, that's pretty dope. But long story short was basically, she's had the S, and so then my son, he's kind of been a PlayStation PC guy here for the last generation, and so then all of a sudden, he invested in the Game Pass, and he was like, "Oh, you still got the Xbox One X?" I'm like, "Yeah, I still got it." And he was like, "Could I get that?" I'm like, "No, you're a PlayStation dude now." I was like, "Why don't you get you a PlayStation 5?"
Wait, did you do that voice while eating like your box of Cocoa Pebbles?
Yeah,
with his hand in the box.
Yeah.
Hey, can I borrow that? Is he just munching?
Could I get that? Really? I'm like, no, you can't get that. I said it belongs to me. I paid money for it, but you're just wasting it anyway. So I'm over here dragging it out. But yeah, no, I let him get it. He was excited about it. So Game Pass is converting him back home, as I say.
Lost gamers, man. That's the power of Game Pass and what it really does.
The power of Game Pass, yeah. And so I seen him on. He plays a lot of League of Legends, but I seen him on the Xbox last night. I was like, oh, look at this. So, who knew? You know what I'm saying? Especially as so diehard of an Xbox kid he was. And then he, just what a generation could do. And then, of course, we're making the right moves, what that could do as well. So, but yeah, no, let's talk about Flight Simulator. I played it, played all of the, not every last one of the tutorials, but I've played the movements and all that, played all that. I got a couple of B's. I need to go in there so I can make those A's so I can have the 100 completion. I learned how to land. I haven't learned how to take off yet because I was just, trying to figure that out. But other than that, like I found myself really intrigued by the game. Every time that I play it, I find myself playing it for a couple of hours, not just for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Like I thought maybe I would probably just, like this is a good showpiece to show people, the power of the consoles. But
that's more of a showpiece of the power of the cloud, to be honest with you.
True as well, but it was more for me the ability to it's serene, it's majestic, the music, and you're just flying, and it's just kind of smooth. I don't know. What is your thoughts about it, Don?
It's not going to be for everybody. I think that's very, very clear. Right. And if you think anything other than that, I think you're kind of kidding yourself a little bit, you know what I mean? But but outside of that, though, it is what it is. It's meant to be a hardcore flight simulator, and I think it does the job well. I think it's a fun looking little thing for somebody. Even myself, like I don't care about flying. You know what I mean? Like that's not my cup of tea. I don't have fascinated with that. I mean, I was hanging out with Black Knight. He was all about planes, and he knew about these planes. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're talking way over my head. You know what I mean? I couldn't keep up with it. You know what I mean? But it's a dream for somebody like him, to be able to go through the process of, what a traditional gamer would think is very methodical, right? Like, and just kind of mundane. But that's part of the experience of flying a plane. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
yeah, I did something interesting. The very first thing I did is skipped all those tutorials. I went to the free roam world. I went to the free roam world, and the very first thing I did is try to find the airport that was by my old house, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, you know, part of the appeal, like, even if you're not into flying, is just to, it's sightseeing from the sky, right? Like, you know, for somebody that's not into flying, that's the appeal there. And so I had a private airport next to my old house where I used to live, so I wanted to see how accurate it was, and, you know, how it did the panoramic shots of the airport and the area. I'm like, this is the neighborhood. Like, I saw the house at the end of the runway, you know, like, right house and everything like that. So took off, and then I flew up. You know, I did like a private jet or something like that. Flew up, and then went around the area where my new house was, and wanted to see how accurate it was when I went down there. Then the plane started barking at me because I was flying too low.
Oh, yeah.
There's certain things you're not supposed to be able to do, but I did it anyways. You know, I just wanted to see how accurate it was, and then I flew over to LA. Just let it cruise all the way out to LA. And then before I landed in LAX, I flew over Anaheim, and I wanted to check out, like, there's certain areas there are no fly zones in regards to that, but you can check them out in Flight Simulator, right? So Disneyland's a no fly zone. You can't actually fly over Disneyland. But I wanted to check out and see what it was like to fly over Disneyland, that sort of thing, and, you know, that was cool. And, you know, you saw them, you know, all the attractions and all that sort of stuff. You can tell that it was accurate, and, you know, saw the Star Wars land, the whole 9 yards as you're flying by, and you know, so I thought that stuff was cool. Then again, it's not my cup of tea. I recognize it for what it is, but I can always appreciate a game even though it's not my personal favorite, or it doesn't provide something a lot for me as an individual. I can appreciate for what it is, and it looks like it plays and does well done. I wouldn't be the expert on flying planes, and if I ever have to take over a plane, just start praying, guys. Start praying. But no, it was cool. I mean, all I did was just give it full beans, take the brake off, and pulled up when I was about to hit the house at the end of the runway. It worked, you know. That's all I needed. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's like when you know, I was. The intrigue for me was the fact that this was a game coming to consoles. It never was even capable of doing it. And for it to come, and especially this is like the biggest version of Flight Simulator that's come to PC, the thought that it's running on a console is the intriguing part for me. And so I was like, oh yeah, I got to play it. And then, of course, with my wife being so enamored and excited about it, then that, of course, you know, it's always when other people in your life that get you excited about something, or that they're excited about something.
They get you hyped up. Like there's that group, there's that group mentality with somebody that you actually means something to you and brings something to the table.
Right. So that was the thing right there. So, but yeah, no, I caught myself, like I said, playing it more than I anticipated, and then really wanting to learn, like, because it felt like a job. It felt like when I got my CDLA, because of when you go through the tutorial and then she's telling you you got all these gauges, you got to check the pressure, you got to hit the choke, you got to do. I'm like, yo, this. I feel like I'm training, and because I'm taking it serious, like, oh no. And then when you hear the beep 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 beep, I'm like, oh no, I'm in the air, and it was really crazy. But it's the fact that it's so deep.
Did you watch Bot stream it?
No, I did not watch Bot stream.
You need to go back to when he finally was able to get the plane off the ground. It was like 40 minutes of him getting to that point, right? Mm-hmm. So skip about 40 minutes ahead to find out the area where he's taking off. And I kid you not, for 45 minutes, it was telling him to bring up the landing gear on his plane.
He couldn't figure it out.
And it was just repeating over and over and over again.
Man, I would have to watch it. I would have to watch it.
It's like priceless. Like, you know, typical Bot, like what? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Oh man. So yeah, you know what? I will say it took me about, I'd say maybe 10 minutes to find where it was a little thing that we had to look for that was behind, it was the steering wheel, but it was a little something, I forgot what it was called, but it was right there and you had to click on it. And I'm like, where is this thing at? So that took me about 10 minutes, but
and every plane's a little bit different where something like that would be located and stuff like that. So yeah.
Right. And then there was one training session that had me pretty frustrated. It was this little wheel device that if you didn't want to keep holding on to the to the steering wheel, or I forget what it's called now, but if you didn't want to keep holding on to that to keep a balance, you can use this little cog wheel thing that's kind of like centered in the bottom of the plane.
Like sets a trim and basically it just
it was
position.
and you had to adjust it properly to keep it at the levels, for, but you can elevate it, you can unlevel, and then there was a few times that it would go, and then so the lady was like, okay, come on, you got to watch out, you got to be careful, and so then I finally figured it out. It took a minute, but I just found myself, like I said, intrigued by it. It's pretty fascinating, especially how much depth is in it. And I haven't even gotten to the point to where I was playing the big airliners, and so, or the jetliners. I can't say that I'm super stoked, but I am really, really intrigued.
Surprised by it more.
Surprised how much I've already gotten into it just by me playing it. And just like what Forte was telling me last night, he was like, man, you're gonna play that game a lot more than you think. And I said, you know what, you might be right. I said yeah. And then before I went to sleep, that's what I did. I wanted to fly over my house, and the first thing I did, because that's really ironic, because at the old house there's a little airport out there called Wally Post, and
okay, gotcha.
And so I went out there.
You're doing the same thing, your landmarks, you just fly on over.
Yeah, and so I was like, hold on, wait a minute. And it was pretty cool, because then there was Will Rogers, and then Will Rogers was basically asking Wally Post, hey, Wally Post was asking Will Rogers, who was all right to fly over this airspace. And it was like, like 3:00 in the morning, so it was dark. But it was pretty cool to go over there, to go through downtown OKC and all that. It's just different. Like, it's just amazing how
it's sightseeing from the sky, right? I mean, that's what it is. Like, you can go to think of a famous landmark. I mean, you can go to Yosemite and go fly by what do they call that, Half Dome or whatever. You can go do that if you wanted to. You knew how to fly through the canyon. You can fly through the canyon, and I mean, the plane will probably bark at you. But
oh yeah,
but you'll have that experience. I don't know. I think it's a worthwhile, fun experience to at least try it on, boot it up. It's in Game Pass.
Yeah.
It's very low risk for anyone to try it out, and don't expect it to be for everybody. But all you're doing is sacrificing your download time and then maybe a couple tutorials and see if it's your bag, right? And to kind of go forward from there. I mean, to be honest with you, it wasn't for Game Pass, I would never downloaded it.
No, I wouldn't. Me neither. No, and that's another beautiful thing about Game Pass. I mean, that it gives you that opportunity to try something, and then eventually, I mean, we'll buy it. So it's just because I'm pretty sure my wife is going to be playing the hell out of it. So, and that's fine. So, the one thing I want to get to, though, let's talk about the gaming aspect of it. How significant is the fact of it being on, the all online, the cloud, because we talked about this with certain games, and then it didn't pan out like Crackdown 3, they were just talking about the power of the cloud and things like that. I feel that this is completely different when we're talking about this game. You can
leverage cloud in different ways, though. Like that's the thing people need to realize. So, like in this case, you can get more data to stream to you as you're playing, right? So long as you don't have a data cap, they have a big warning. Like, if you have a data cap, don't click on this sort of thing, right? But that allowed you to be able to stream the data live to the individual, and better your connection, better the visuals are going to be when you're streaming that data to you. So, I mean, that's a great way to do it. And you don't have to have it installed locally on your hard drive. It's just streaming texture data. It's essentially is what it's doing. So I thought that was a cool way to implement the cloud. That makes sense. Because how else are you going to map the whole entire damn world and put it on your hard drive?
Right.
It's not going to fit. Like that's the whole thing. So, you know, when you have things that can't run locally, does it make sense to offload that to something remotely and, you know, stream that, whatever that information is? And I think that's a cool way to implement it. You know, a funny thing is you talk about the Crackdown thing, the earlier Crackdown things. Yeah, that stuff is not canceled. You guys know that, right? Like the we're not even talking about like the physics that they released with the final game. The whole company that originally was doing all that physics demonstration, that's still real, and that's going to be in Unreal Engine 5. We're going to get that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So you haven't seen any games really utilize it because it's, you know, technical demonstration, but that technology is not dead at all.
Okay.
And as far as I understand, it will be used in Azure, but we'll see how all that pans out.
Yeah. One more thing. Yeah. Talking about Flight Simulator is the data cap. If you guys have internet out there and you don't have unlimited, man, watch out, watch those bills, because you know, having that game run and without that data, and if you got a data cap, that's gonna hit that internet bill. So be aware of that as well.
It warns you too, so don't just skip over it. Is what I guess is
right.
Because you want to hop into the game and keep going, right?
Right.
Don't do that. It gives you a giant warning. Hey, if you have an issue, and then it forces you to move the cursor over to accept it. It automatically defaults to no. So something to keep in mind. So.
Right. Yeah. So it's very important. So like if you guys, since you know are into gaming, I mean, you would think more people would be invested into you know, make sure they get unlimited from their cable provider or internet provider or whatever.
Sometimes people I don't think even realize there is a limit on their service until they get that notice, or their bill's really big one month and they have no idea why, and they're like, maybe I missed a month, you know, like sort of thing, you know. That sort of stuff. So yeah, just something to be aware of. You know, I know with you and I both, it's all affiliated through Comcast. You and I both have similar internets in that sense. Yeah. The data cap, like the unlimited plan, is not unreasonable. You know what I mean? Like it's one of the more reasonable things they offer. So I highly recommend doing it. So
yeah, no doubt. All right, so let's move on from that. Yeah, I definitely try out Flight Simulator. I know the Ascent. This is the game that I was looking forward to. That comes out, I think, tomorrow.
Ascent.
The Ascent. Yeah, it's going to be on Game Pass right now. I know everybody's talking about Death's Door, I believe. Big shout out to Jay Bash. He hooked me up with the game, and then also Sleepy Goblin. He was on GRG last week, so I sit there and was e-begging for Samurai Warriors 5, and he hooked me up with that. So thank you guys, thank the community so much for that. But for Death's Door, a lot of people's been talking about it. I don't know, the first person I seen talk about it was Rand, of course, because he likes those smaller indie titles. And I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. Right? Yeah. Easy. Well, it's just getting a lot of buzz, and the more and more I see people play it, and then I've seen Fonz really bring it up and talk about how fantastic. There's people that's even claiming that this game is their favorite game of the year. Now,
which one is this? Death's Door?
It's called Death's Door. Yeah, I started it, and it's a little hack and slash type of game that's it's challenging. It's in Game Pass. And so it's pretty interesting. So yeah, need to check it out. I started it, but there's a lot of people been talking about that game. But Game Pass is just rolling. But the Ascent is something that I'm definitely looking forward to. Like I said, I think it comes out tomorrow, so I've been really anticipating that game. But anyway,
I have to start marking off some time and catching up on the Game Pass backlog, right? To try it out. Yeah, I have to finish Nier. Yeah. I've been able to do Nier in small chunks,
Uh-huh.
So I'm into this. I'm not very far into it. I'm into some weird looking Ken doll that I gotta kill, that these robots birthed or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Some weird thing. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm at the point where the story, I'm lost now.
Near is a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got lost into it after I got so far myself, and then of course I said, oh, okay, I'll jump and go back to it. It's like I was having that same problem with Control again, and I was playing it, and I was like,
What's your problem with Control?
I don't know. It is something. I don't know. It's something about it that just that I can't just play consistently. I got to take a break from. I don't know if it's because of the story and how weird it is, or if it's, I don't know. But it's something about it that makes me just like, I played Devil May Cry 5 all the way through, and that is quirky and crazy and wild. But that was just really a good, exciting game. This game seems like it goes through highs and lows, and so I don't know. I'm going to finish it before it's said and done. Probably, hopefully, by the end of the week. But it's definitely going to take a little bit of time for me because yeah, it is pretty interesting. As we're talking to Don's Ghost. From
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm just adjusting things. I did a new layout, so like there's little things I'm trying to fix on the fly, guys. So I apologize.
No, it's fine. But anyway, let's talk about Halo.
Okay.
There was these invites sent out this week, and I thought I was going to miss out because I've seen everybody, and look, I'm happy for people. Look, I'm not one of those people that's like, I do this stuff and I should get first invite. I'm not like that.
I guess they hate me, or
right. They must not like me. What did I say wrong? Whatever the case may have been. But it was more for me. It was just, you're seeing everybody, and I'm happy for it. But then you kind of put yourself in that where you're kicking the sand, having your face down in the dirt a little bit. Like, oh man, everybody got to invite me. I want to play it, but I know eventually that I would get an invite. If not for this one, it would be the next one. Because they're going to do, a couple of these beta tests going forward. And so I eventually got it this morning. And so, of course, I'm excited about it. But what is it about? I mean, I don't know if you got yours yet. And
yeah, that's interesting. No, I do not have for the one this weekend.
Okay. But they did say that they were still going to be giving them out until Thursday. You think that they'll still be until Friday, but
it's gonna be more announcements today, just so you guys know what it's all about. At least they're gonna do some sort of stream or something along those lines.
Yeah,
to kind of fill in the community what's going on outside of, hey, you're in, that sort of thing. So
yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what to expect. If you got any information, please let us know, or anything that you think that might be a possibility of what the game.
The rumor is, and this, keep in mind, this is a rumor, and this may change, and literally later on today, right? Or this weekend. The rumor is this particular
water, ladies and gentlemen.
This particular weekend, you guys are going to be able to play with friends. So 4 human players against 4 AI.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's the rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. We'll find out if it's right or wrong, if in regards to that, or if that's something they'll do later on. But the bots are supposed to be very, very advanced. And my theory, and this is my theory, not actual truth or anything like that, or knowledge has been passed down to me. I think they're taking more of a drivatar type approach to AI. With bots being able to fill things in, which I think is important. I mean, I think, one of the issues you have in Halo 5 right now, like, I love that game, I love that multiplayer, but I can't ignore the fact that it's been around 6 years or something like that, or 5 years since that game's been out, and the player base is dying. Like, that's just the harsh reality. It's Halo, but it's still a 5-year-old game, right?
Yeah.
So the player base is going to die. It's going to slowly kind of phase out, and it makes it harder to do matchmaking, right? Like, you wait, or they have matchmaking issues, things kick you out and stuff like that. But if they can fill those empty slot with bots, so be it, right? And keep things rolling. They can also use them as, I think, balancing as well. Like they can have really, really strong AI to help balance, say, a player that's people talk about imbalance between PC and console, which, to be honest with you, I have very little issue with. To be honest with you, the times I've done cross play against PC,
Right.
most of the time,
Same with me.
Most of the time, I've been able to own those matches, and as much as there's crime behind the scenes about that sort of stuff, like, you know, like playing Gears, like 90% of the time I was winning with controller. And the funny thing is, like, you see PC guys, they'll complain about console players because they're cheating because they have aim assist or whatever because of a controller based input or whatever it may be. So I don't really think that's going to be an issue, but that's something they can play around with, game balancing on a multiplayer scale. So we'll see how it all goes. I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. I don't know if I'll be part of it this weekend. No bitterness or anything like that. We'll see. Maybe I'll play Halo 5 this weekend. Maybe I'll play Halo Infinite. I don't know.
Right.
We'll see how it goes. What was it? I'm assuming you got it from your email.
Yeah, I got it in my email.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it was in promotions. So I mean, people can also look and see that. Check the spam.
It's promotions.
Yeah. Google got some kind of weird. They got your regular. Like if I get some kind of email from somebody if I get a message from somebody, they have their own little slot there. Then there's promotions from which all different type of companies, and then there's also the other. There's another one. There's 3 different tiers of emails that I get, and so it was in the one that was in promotion. So therefore, I was like, all right. So and that's with Gmail. So make sure that
that's a Gmail kind of organization type thing.
Mm-hmm. So like if you haven't got yours yet, go and check there. Go check spam. That's something, and especially like for me, I still use on my other account.
Did it come directly from Xbox or 343? How was it listed for those who are waiting?
Let's go ahead and go look at that. It came from exactly from 343.
It came from 343?
Yeah, it came from 343. Matter of fact, let's go straight to it. Yep. It says Halo Waypoint.
Halo Waypoint. Yep. There you go.
Halo Waypoint. There you go. Go check it out. And the other one is updates. So there's on Google. Well, when I'm looking on a PC, it's social, promotions, and then updates. And then updates is kind of like the main juicy stuff. And then promotions is just like from this sort of stuff I get for information from Game Sutra. And then like other stuff from like COG and everything else. So it's just weird how it's separated. And I have I have like 2 other accounts, but I have another account that's with AOL. AOL still works, ladies and gentlemen. I made that AOL account I don't know how many years ago, and it's still rocking, baby.
KMEGA still has a stack of AOL free copies.
A stack of
30 days.
Yes, for 30-day discs. Yeah, but the AOL normally I get most of my Xbox stuff from the AOL because of I've been with with Xbox Live for so long. So that's where I get that from. But it's pretty crazy. So I was thinking I was going to get it from there, but I got it here through Waypoint. So anyway, so you guys could go and check that out. But no, I'm intrigued by it, and I was just like you. Like I mean, I was kind of down. Like, dang, I want to really play it, but that's only because I just want to play it. I want to see what it. I want to feel it. I want to see what it looks like on my television, things like that.
I'm ready to be harassed this weekend if I'm not there. Yeah. It's not even about getting in or not. It's the harassment that comes along with it.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
So, but
Halo 5 for life.
Listen, I'm definitely Halo 5 is definitely always going to be that thing for me. I just feel that this game though, because I've seen people and I want to comment every time I see something where somebody kind of throws a jab at Halo 5 by saying, "Oh, Halo will finally be back." Halo never left. Halo 5 was very successful.
You're the one that left. It's not Halo 5 like they
right. But the negative press behind Halo 5 for whatever reason, for the people who hate the multiplayer, for the people who hate the story, whatever. It is what it is. But Halo never left. Halo did successfully well, but Halo 5 will always have a soft spot in my heart because of the fact of, not only just for the protagonist, but for the gameplay that I think that's changing, that help evolve Halo Infinite. I've always kind of felt that Halo 5 is going to be looked at as that tweener that, you love it or hate it or whatever, but it helped propel Halo Infinite to be where it's at right now, because it's going to have the running, it's going to have the clamoring, it's going to have all the stuff that we have. Plus, they took away the red and the blue. They're going to give more customizations. I'm excited for it. What I'm saying? It's fine to give the whole caboodle, the basket, to all the love, all the people who loves Halo, from 1 through 5. That's really the things that we've wanted. I think that they get some some fine trade-offs, but I think that because it's going to have seasons, we're going to start seeing more and more and more stuff that's going to be supported. They're going to support Halo 5 too. I know that there's going to be people
that's the whole point of the business
that's
model.
That's the whole point of
because it's supposed
seasons,
to be
right.
It's supposed to be games as a service game, forever living sort of thing,
right?
In a Halo sort of way, right? Like that sort of thing. So
right,
and I'm sure a lot of the story will set the stage for a lot of fleshing out the universe sort of thing. In DLC, so we'll see how it all goes.
Yeah. No, I'm just going in, and it's not going to be. I'm not going to like over critique it or anything like that. I just want to see how it plays, how it feels, and then go from there. So I hope that you can get it as well. So we can go in there. We can stream it. So because I think that you can. There's no.
As far as I understand, on this one, this is the first one that people can actually openly share. As far as all that stuff goes, I have to look through the fine print if I get an invite. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it all goes.
Yeah, and then I don't know if I'm going to get it on the if I'm going to be able to play it on the PC or if it's going to be on consoles.
What did you sign up for? Did you sign up for all of them?
All of it. Yeah, like I want to.
That's probably why you're in, because a lot of they have a hit list of things they want to do. Like they want to hit certain PC cards, certain PC configurations. They want to do all these different things, along with certain consoles. They obviously they want a certain segment of Xbox OG owners to S to the Series X and then the Series S, right? Like they want to do their whole family of devices that it's supposed to be compatible with. So we'll see how it goes. But in regards to that, I opted out of the PC thing too, mostly because I'm running out of hard drive space on this machine, and the new machine, because there's certain things you got to do to opt in for the PC configuration. My new machine hasn't showed up yet, so that will probably be showing up next week. So
okay, so you're gonna start getting into that you're gonna start getting to the PC master race. You're gonna be playing some PC games.
I'm gonna be building another PC on top of this one, but a lot of the leftovers that are in this rig is going to go to my wife, so she's going to have a PC that's pretty substantial. And then this was just kind of get me a new development rig, all that sort of thing. So it's cool. It's got my little logo etched into the glass and everything else. So it'll be kind of baller looking when it's all said and done. So.
All right, nice. Did you watch any of the tournament, the Halo Master Chief tournament this past weekend?
No. Was it anything impressive?
I did. It was very impressive. It was 2v2, and they, if you was part of FanFest, they wanted to. I kept getting that notification. Hey, you can sign up. And I'm like, I uninstalled it. Like I'm done. I'm ready to move on.
You already have your tail between your legs. You're done.
Halo 5. Halo Infinite. That's it. Saying we beat all the Halos on Legendary. I'm fine. I'm cool.
We may have to go back to the certain ones just to get them to register that we did it. But I gotcha.
Yeah, but just going back into playing the multiplayer. No, I think that we'll get a lot of what we want out of Infinite. That's just me personally thinking. But it was really impressive. There was a team called The Run. and they were going against, it was the final, and I forgot what the other team was, but that other team was smoke. The run, I believe it was, that team was smoking them, and they were doing things with the sniper rifle. I could only imagine. I was like, oh, that's the one reason why I didn't want to go in like that. Like, I mean, I just no. I love Halo. I don't mind playing Halo.
There's certain gamers like they're talented, but it's all about their exploits, right? Versus you know, the one-on-one, and a lot of those team guys will play like zone, right? So like you cover this, you cover that, and they communicate in regards to that. So by the time you even know you're getting hit, you run around a corner and getting popped by someone else. Like you know what I mean? Like it just changes the way that game plays entirely. So I get it. So it was MCC. So what game mode was it? Or I know it was 2v2, but it was
two. They played in different maps. It was mostly you know, it was kind of like how the tournament was that we played in. Like it was just random.
Okay.
But like you could tell that there were people that really played well at certain Halos, like Halo 3. Those guys was really running, and then when they went to a certain other, they went to another map, and it got, there was different modes. So like it was the 2v2, but then there was like different strategies. I don't know, but it was cool. I watched about 3 hours of it, and you know, it was cool to see them play and enjoy themselves. But I mean, it was just kind of like, yeah, all right, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready for the new stuff to come out. That was just my whole thought the whole time. It's just like I don't ever have a problem with people enjoying, you know, the older Halos over Halo 5. It's just, for me, it's just I'm ready to move on. It's been long overdue. It's 6 years, so. So this weekend,
it's been a while in regards to that. So I get it. In regards to that, I just want certain people to be able to get into matchmaking. Like One Bad Mother, man, his matchmaking is just sounds
awful.
It sounds awful. Like part of me dies inside every time he talks about how bad his matchmaking is. You know, like
right.
So.
And so that's what we're looking at. But no, I'm excited for it this weekend, and for everybody else who has the opportunity to get in. Man, you know, congratulations, but you know, do not fear, because they will have other ones, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to try to get everybody.
I would also say be patient with this. Is not a finished thing, right? So you're going to probably get dropouts. You're probably going to have hard times matchmaking with certain friends. This is not indicative of a final product. In regards to this, this is them working out the kinks, so there's not a problem when the final product releases. So, you know, I would say that's always something you want to keep in mind. And it's been a long time since we've had a flight or you know, a preview, or, you know, however you want to say beta, in regards to a game to the open public. So.
Right. So, and I mean, that's really cool. So there's really no reason to that's why I wasn't mad about it. I was disappointed, but at first I was like, but you know what? I'm like, I'm going to watch it. I can't wait to see it and then see what happens with it and everything. So it's going to be great. So, also there's a beta for, out there, if you want to go check it out, for, Back for Blood. So they're going to, I think in August, sometime in next month, that they'll have the beta for Back for Blood for consoles. So if you want to go and sign up for that, I think it's just backforblood.com, something like that. Gotcha. Go check that out. And you know, I already signed up for that when it was on PC. Game is a blast. If you like Left 4 Dead, you'll definitely enjoy it too. So yeah. But anyway, all right, let's get into some more serious, heavy stuff, and that is Activision, the Activision Blizzard situation. This news is deteriorating by the day. Like, I mean, there's more and more stuff.
What's the latest?
The boycott, the employees is speaking out. Of course, the head guy is talking about having a collapse lung, I believe, or something. And there's just. And then, like, now, all of a sudden, something that we haven't really seen, even when there's been controversy from other companies and things like that, they're more vocal usually when they, try to speak out across and stuff. Activision, everything, even with Call of Duty, has been completely in the just cold black, like haven't posted anything. There's been updates for Call of Duty and things like that. Nothing on their Twitter feed. Nothing anywhere. Everything is just
Don't
going
say anything because no matter what
silent.
you do, they're going to react in a negative way. Gotcha.
Right, like I mean, you could tell that they know that they're being watched, and they're
it's a very smart business move. You don't want to waste up money and time marketing a product that's just going to get crapped on because it's not the right time because of the environment that you're in. In regards, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, what is your take? I know that you came on, but you missed that topic that we had on GRG. What is your take about this whole situation? I mean, the whole discrimination, even their press. What I was more upset about was, look, they're accused. I don't know if they're guilty or not. That's what the legal system is for. The problem was for me is that to me it seemed like you admitted guilt once you started talking about, we gave out money to the Negro College Fund. We sent a donation of $1 million.
Are they just trying to cover themselves, sort of thing? Is the impression you got from that?
That's pretty much like the big corporate thing.
There were some racist claims too. Right?
Mm-hmm. And some of the women, I believe, that were in there were of women of color, so that were discriminated against. And then, of course, there was a woman that lost her life. The more details came out about it is that they had, I guess she must have dated someone that was there, or some kind of reason they came up with her pictures, and then they were exploited. They were making fun of her pictures, and then they were just showing it around with other people at the job, and so she just eventually just couldn't take it, and then she took her life, which. That's really unfortunate. But other things that was included, just the harassment, no accountability. Like, I mean, and this stuff has been going on since 2018. So that was the part where Activision was upset with the company that they hired to overlook all these things. They were upset with the company not going to them. And instead not going to Activision, they went straight to the officials out there in California, which kind of tells you that the situation was really bad. And I'm saying I'm just looking at this, and this is amazing. I mean, I know that Activision and Blizzard, they got their issues, and a lot of people, you got that love-hate situation. But I've not ever seen a company, even with Riot Games, going through deteriorate like that.
Put the games aside. Like, it's
right.
Like, it's not about the games on this. It's about a work environment that's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, my heart always goes to any of the victims, right? Like victims of harassment of any type, right? That's not appropriate in the work environment, and realistically, anyone that's falsely accused as well, right? Because I don't know the situation as a whole. I only hear through the grapevine like anyone else. I'm not on a court making the judgment call. I'm not the jury on these things, right? Like that's something that I would say this: if you're a victim, keep a good record. If you're at work, right? Have stories that will help corroborate your situation. Does that make sense?
Right.
Protect yourself, because sometimes the HR departments, they're supposed to be there for these situations, to take care of and handle these situations so these environments don't occur, right? But the same token, their interest may not be in line with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
they might be in line more with the company. And so you just never know in that situation. So don't try to minimize you being the victim as much as possible. Try to protect yourself. That is something I'm always going to be an advocate of. And even if you're somebody that got accused of something that you didn't do, take proper records. You protect yourself in regards to this sort of stuff. For anyone that's behaved in these sort of ways, I have zero sympathy for them in regards to that. I think that if you behaved in any sort, I don't know. Me as a guy, I'm married now, right? Like, but I remember my single days, right?
Right. We all do.
We all remember acting on this. We all remember this, right? Even though marriage life is so much better when you have the perfect partner, right?
Yes, it's definitely different.
Definitely better.
A lot more easier to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. But nothing is more pathetic, in my view, as a man, is hitting on somebody you work with. I mean, like, you have no game. You don't have shit. Like, that's the low of the low, man. Don't be doing that at your work. Like, that's where you eat. These are your friends. I mean, in a lot of ways, your work environment is your extended family, right? You just don't treat them like that, right? I mean, that's your sister. Like, the way I look at it, I mean, like, wow. a little gross, man, a little gross. But if obviously if there's flames or something like that, there seems like there's something, then own up to it, be a man, take another job somewhere else. And if you want to pursue that outside of that, I think that would be a much more appropriate thing from one guy to another. Like, that's how I feel about it in regards to that. But, like, I don't know, some of the things, like, I don't know, they're talking about what it's the pub crawl, or they had cubicle crawl, or whatever they had.
Yeah.
As soon as you have a report that that's a bad thing, do you keep doing it? You know what I mean? Or do you shut it down? Like, it's like when you're in elementary school, like when someone does something wrong, what do you do? Like, yeah, it was a great little privilege, but someone keeps screwing up. That's why you're not able to chew gum in grade school, right? Because someone sticks it under a desk, right? So if people can't behave in that sort of environment, if given those sort of privileges, be able to drink at work and that sort of thing and have those stress reliefs, then you got to take it away. And you got to take it away for everybody. I mean, that's the harsh reality. So there's like a lot of little things that they've done. I don't know. And be honest with you, and you and I both talked about this before. I've talked about rumors I've heard about them years ago. KMEGA will contest to that. Like, that I've heard.
Right.
I've heard this issues in regards to that. In other studios too, that they haven't hit the limelight. And it's always the sad thing is always the studios or places where they preach a good game. Does that make sense? Where we're all about this, we're all about that, and very, very preachy, and then you find out they have some skeletons in their closet in regards to that, or allegedly, I should say, in regards to that. So they're in the worst state for that to happen, though. If they're going to find out any sort of truth, then they're going to be brought to the courts. The California court system is not kind to this sort of stuff. So, it's with these sort of things, people are guilty of it. You can ask for a better court to basically be in their line of fire, I should say. So,
yeah, and another thing too is that people found out that the head guy, Bobby Kotick, he was in Epstein's black book as one of his associates. So anything tied to Epstein, that's not a good look.
He's not somebody you want. He's not somebody you don't want him knowing your name.
No.
Oh, that's not good.
And it said that he also had a sexual assault case put on him, and he lost it. So, listen.
I didn't hear about that. Was that more recent news?
I'm just now going through it and reading this stuff right now, and I'm just kind of like, listen. And then again, it's the internet. A lot of people like to throw in all different types of things. So I'm going to just say that's speculation, but this stuff seemed to be coming from reliable sources. So I don't, man. Listen.
Well, and the other thing was a little weird too. Is you see the and not defending. I'm just pointing out what I'm seeing here, right?
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
But they talked about salary caps between men and women and stuff like that. But the person they're asking to resign is the highest paid woman inside the company, and I'm like, because she's part of the HR department. In regards to that, so they're asking her to resign. I'm like, is she part of this, or maybe we should do some investigation? Because she shouldn't be just part of the fallout if she's not really part of the problem. If there's, I'm
But
just
that
saying,
also
like,
tells you something too. The
yeah.
highest level woman in that company is HR. Like that. See, that goes into something to me where,
Well, she gets paid more than some of the execs there. So
I get
she gets
that,
paid.
but I mean, but that's the highest level that a woman has at that company is HR though. I mean, I don't know. Listen, we talked about it like crazy on GRG, and I don't want to get too personal with things because I told a story about my experience with dealing with different types of discrimination, things like that. But I did make this point, and this is what the biggest problem is. It's the whole networking system within companies and just anywhere, everywhere. Mm-hmm. If you have somebody that's a bad apple, and that bad apple makes these mistakes, right? The first, the logical thing is to let these people go. The problem is that because they're in a network and that this person knows that person and this person says, well, okay, well, we got to let you go, but I know another place that you can go to that could help you out. And, the buddy friend type of thing. Okay. And, and then that person goes to that other location, that other job or whatever. And that person is not going to learn how to, how to face responsibility
because there's no consequences to their actions.
There's no consequence. That's basically what I was trying to kind of say about the whole like policing situation was that, look, if you have a bad apple, that's a police officer that's done wrong things, right? You fire that officer. You blackball that officer to make sure that you let other officers that does that type of thing. And this goes with anything.
Well, I would take a step further. Yeah. It needs to get to the point of investigation, right? Like,
right.
We are in a position where everyone's innocent until proven guilty. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We have to maintain that, right, to some degree.
Right.
I know it's rough for the victims up until that point. Like,
no. But it's got to do with
it's not without empathy,
process.
right? But we do have to go through the due process portion of it, right?
Absolutely.
And then the consequences should be more severe, right? In regards to the problem is that you're, I think, illustrating is it never goes to the due process. It never gets to that point with some of these individuals. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's the problem, right? People have to pay the penalty for what they've done. We have to have due process, and then we honestly at that certain point when you're found guilty, then there's no sympathy, right? Like you've been found guilty of that sort of thing. And like, I'm not big into trying to cancel people or anything like that. Like, I want truth to come out in all things, right? No matter what it is. If there's some sort of truth, I want it to come out. But I want to have that due process in regards to that. So, yeah, I've been hearing about these things for a while. I think Mega asked me. How did it start? I think you asked me like what studio would I would never work for or something like that.
Right.
And I said I would never work for Activision.
Right. Yeah. And I was like, what? Why? They made.
Yeah. So that's what started the conversation. Right. There's another one that is in. I think they're in the Bay Area right now. But I would.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
I definitely want to, and I won't even. Because I won't repeat it because I don't know if it's true or not, right? But I think with time, these sort of things do come out in regards to that, and it's unfortunate that things come with time. But and it goes both ways because, this strikes a chord with me too because I used to work as a PI for about a year, right?
Right.
You know about that, and before I had my opportunity to make it in the industry. And man, the stuff that you see there, man, you give up on hope on humanity.
Absolutely,
really quick. I mean, you know why those those PI movies, they always have them drab and dark and all that sort of stuff because you tend to view the world and through that lens. But one of the things I would do is I would investigate police officers, and I would make good money off of that for some of the issues that United States are going through right now with different departments used to fight against racism and other stuff, other corrupt cops and stuff like that. And then I also used to back in the day, it was corporate shit like this, getting the evidence, right? In regards to that, and you'd be surprised. Like, I will say this: you would think it's like mostly it's guys.
No,
it's not. It's about. I would say this: it's about 60% guys, 40% women.
No doubt.
In the state I reside in, and every state may be different, and I can only speak to the cases that I worked with, right? In regards to that, but it goes both directions. So, guys, protect yourself. Girls, protect yourself. This is your work environment, but this is also, this is how you make a living, that sort of thing. And you want to protect yourself by all means,
Right.
And I'm really with you if that's what you suffer through. It sucks. So
yeah, no, it's just a bad situation. I mean, yeah, this just my point was just basically just weed out the bad apples, get them out of there. But I mean, look, I think that there's going to have to be a house cleaning, a reckoning happen in order.
You think they're going to close?
No, I don't think that they're going to close. I think that they're too valuable. But I do feel that there's going to be a lot of people on the chopping block.
My prediction is this, and here's the thing: is we talk about the higher ups, but a lot of the complaints are about mid-level employees, not the higher up employees. And the way I look at it is it becomes hearsay, this and that, and it comes down to a point where they're just going to have to shut down certain studios, certain departments. I really think that's what's going to happen because. The investors are going to look, what are we going to have to do? Right. So, do we take the hit for, the bad press for that? And usually,
the stock. Yeah. I heard the stock was falling and all that.
Yeah. So, like, and then your big expenditure in game development is the talent, in regards to that. So, and I will say this too, is when you guys sign petitions, when you guys protest against this sort of thing, you have to look at through the light of, you're going to lose your job. And I don't wish that upon anyone, but you have to look at it like that. And this is my better advice to anybody in the industry. Leverage yourself. Save up your coin when you first get in the industry. It's going to be tempting to spend some of that extra bit of money you've earned. Don't put yourself in that position. Save up what you can. Get all sort of stuff because you never know if the studio's going to close down or anything else outside of that sort of stuff. So leverage a situation where you're not a victim. Where you're a little bit more control, and when you have that purse, you have a lot more control, and you have a lot more say, and you can be a lot more bolden when you have to state stuff, and you can go to HR because you're like, "What are you going to do? Fire me?" You know what I mean? Like, like you could have that leverage in your life. So I do highly encourage that for everybody when they work in the industry. Position yourself in a good spot, so you shouldn't have to come down to it, but you get where I'm going with that. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That, I mean, it
sucks.
It's unfortunate. It sucks. I mean, we should be better about this stuff. But I mean, of course, we're human beings, and people, they like to get into some crazy stuff, man. And I don't know, man. Look, every time that I've seen people that get involved with each other into the workforce, it always ended with disaster. Usually somebody quits or they call it because not only because it causes a scene or it causes some drama. The only thing that I've seen that's worked is if people that they were already married and then they or together when they first got into the job, together.
Yeah, they started the company together or something weird like that.
Or they're just being employees and they're just together and they make it through that. But just like, 9 times out of 10, when you see people that's dating somebody within the workforce, it happens, of course, and I'm sure that there's quite a few success stories, but for the most part, it usually ends in disaster.
Yeah, well,
so
it's
also crazy, man.
That's the other thing. Don't be part of the rumor mill when you work in a company either. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, don't. If there's an issue, you report it to HR. You call them out on it, and you record it. If you see something. Yeah. Take mental notes because when it comes down, when these things come to the surface, and then say like you sign a petition, you have a lot more leverage. You can say, on this date I noticed this, on this date I noticed that. Like, you have the power in a work environment a lot more than you realize in regards to that. And people act out like this because they feel empowered, right? They feel empowered in ways they shouldn't and they have no right to. You know what I mean? And that's just, take that away from them. You can. So, yeah. I hope everyone lands on their feet.
Me too.
That's not part of all the nonsense in regards to that, and we'll see how it all pans out. There's no winning in these situations, unfortunately. So,
right. So, unfortunate. But all right, let's move on. Let's talk about our main man, Sean Layton. He came out here and said some things.
Sean Layton used to work at Sony. Now
yes.
Works for that little indie dev. Sean Layton he used to work at KI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he working with Adam Boyes? Okay.
No. Maybe I misunderstood. So no, Sean Layton, Adam
okay.
Boyes. I got those two mixed up. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah. No, Sean Layton is doing something. I think it's called the Streamline Media Group. He's part of this media group advisory board or something.
He
like
was
that,
part of Sony at one point in time, right?
Yeah. He was the head. Yeah, he was the head guy for PlayStation, and so. He had a different type of vision, and of course, it looks like that Sony decided that the higher ups at the Sony Corporation seemed that his vision, Sean Layton's vision, just wasn't where they wanted to go. So then that's where Jim Ryan came about. So anyway,
his sales pitch is not as good as someone else's sales pitch. And that happens in the corporate world, right? Like all the time.
Right. So right. I mean, he did fantastic for the PlayStation 4. But again, the industry is changing, and the heads at Sony see this, but Sean Layton didn't believe in it. Looks like, and so from his comments about gaming as a service. Kind of caused some controversy. Basically, talking about how basically the for Game Pass, things like that, games as a service, he doesn't see how it could be fully profitable unless Microsoft hits around 500 million subscribers. So that just kind of raised everybody's eyebrow, because even Phil Spencer come out here not too long ago said that they're already seeing a profit from Game Pass. And they were just, at that time at 23 million, and I'm pretty sure they're higher than that at this point.
Yeah, it keeps growing. It's not declining.
Right.
So
yeah, it's not declining. So, somebody's wrong. So that's the whole point about this. So I don't know. So I wanted to get your thoughts about this. I mean, do you think that, what Sean Layton is saying is basically that, well, also I got to add this little part. He does say that something's got to give with the whole aspect of how games are being made and what companies need to do, because right here on what I'm reading, he's saying with each console generation, the cost of games go up by 2. You know what I'm saying? So PlayStation 4 games were 100 to 150 million. So it stands to reason that the PlayStation 5 once they hit their stride, will be exceeding over 200 million. So it's going to be more difficult than a handful of larger players to compete in this space. So he said, so what's about to change?
Sounds like bad management to me.
Well, right. And so that's where he came with where he was saying, if you remember, where he was talking about, PlayStation is going to more focus on their exclusive titles and their bigger titles, and they're not going to make as many, newer titles. They're going to kind of just stay in the fold.
So they're going to take less risk, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're going to take less risk. And I guess Sony themselves is kind of like, we got to, and I don't know. There was some kind of pushback at some point to where, where Sean Layton had this idea for it and it just didn't mesh over. But I think that what he's saying now is basically services is just not it's profitable, but you have to gain so much, get so many users in order for it to work. So therefore, he doesn't see that it's the final solution. So what is your thoughts about that?
I think Microsoft in the beginning of last gen was playing around with a lot of business models. You notice with how KI was released in different games, and you had loot boxes and things like that. They're playing with all these different business models, and Game Pass that I look at is just an extension of that, of their business models, and trying to be profitable, and trying to also not only be profitable, but these business models are something you want to extend to your third party to have the support as well, right? And so, I don't know. I don't know the numbers behind the scenes. I don't know what the deals that are signed. I don't know any of those sort of things. And even when it pretends they know, they don't. There's probably maybe 5 people that know that stuff. You know what I mean? And the individual studios that know what deals they signed and what deals that they worked out with Microsoft, and then they get pulled in the fold for them. But that doesn't necessarily represent another publisher or studio, if that makes any sense. Right. So, I think there's it's risky. Like, there's a risk there involved from Microsoft. The risk is if it's on the decline, they need to have it continue to those numbers go up and up and up for them to continue to be able to leverage that. But it started off with Game Pass at least 100 games. They don't even talk about the 100 games anymore because they're so far past that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're able to do that obviously because they're able to they're doing either two things. They're obviously they're operating at a loss and wanting to get those subscriptions sucked in, or they're that profitable and it's just easy for them to bring another game into the fold. You know what I mean? One of those two things is going on. But I think Phil answered this question. I'm going to take him at his word. They're profitable with Game Pass, and so they're always kind of looking at those numbers behind the scenes and how they can make it work for everybody involved. And as a platform provider, you got to keep in mind they're invested in their third party being successful. They're not invested into taking them for what they're worth and say goodbye to them. They're worth more over multiple titles than they are just one title, if you get where I'm going with that. So,
right.
They want those studios to stay open. They want them to be successful. They want them to be profitable, and gaming to expand. And I think that's the business model that they have in mind. And I think they'll do fine with it. I just think, I think sometimes, you see this within the podcast community, you see people that get stuck, like, I'm right, and this is what it is, and this is my stance, and I'm not going to learn anything from that, right?
Right.
And it's more of that confirmation biased sort of thing that you're trying to push. And I think he hasn't let it go, and I don't think he has the vision. I don't think he understands it fully, entirely. And rightfully so. No. I don't understand it either in regards to that. So, a platform provider is looking at Microsoft's like, how do we get in on this? You know what I mean? They don't know how they're able to be profitable doing that sort of stuff. But that's everything Microsoft's doing. They're leveraging what they can do as a company. Sony leverages what they do as a company, and consumers are left with trying to decide what makes their dollar or value worth it to them. You know what I mean? So,
right. Yeah.
And that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, I agree. And then to me, it's just kind of like, I mean, I've said this before, where gamers have this mindset that because of the nostalgia of how gaming has always been, they seem to not be aware of the changes that we've seen within gaming through its history. I mean, if gaming stayed at the state that it was, we still would be playing in 8-bit and with cartridges,
and 2-button controllers, right?
And 2-button controllers, right?
Not online, and
yeah, like
your friend brings over his stank on your couch, and and gets his Cheeto hands all over your controller. Damn.
Pretty much, right?
I don't want to go back to that shit, right?
Right. Well, I do. I miss the couch co-op. Man,
you miss Cheeto crumbs on your damn controller?
No. I don't miss somebody's greasy ass hands trying to mess with my controllers. I make sure that I give them the wipes. Now, I pay too much money for these things, but then of course,
you have a little bottle of Perel
maniac. Yeah, and of course you have the maniac that gets mad because they get their ass beat and then they break your controller. Then that causes a whole bunch of problems. But yeah, I've seen those guys before. So I mean, there's the good and the bad with this. But the thing to me is kind of like, you've seen the industry go and evolve through all these years, especially if you've been a gamer as long as we have. You have seen it. You've seen this evolution, and it only makes sense for gaming to go to another phase, especially now where consumers are more they care more. They care more about their dollar than just going out and just spending it randomly. I mean, like for certain things that they really enjoy and like, that they'll do it. But for the most part, there's certain people, they have to cut back. The pandemic has caused a lot of people to sit back and take pause.
There's also a convenience of Game Pass, right? Like
right.
There's that aspect of selling something to a product to a consumer. Is it just convenient? Oh, I just paid $30 and I got a bunch of games. Cool. I don't even have to do any homework. I'll just download this game and try it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right? There's a convenience factor that comes with Game Pass too, as well. I think it has a broad appeal to customers. I don't think we talk about that all that much. And there's also the feeling of lower risk. And so when you have lower risk, then a consumer is going to be willing to buy stuff more, right? They open up their wallets. They don't look at it in a different sort of way, or the same sort of way of like $60. Man, is it worth $60? You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So, that's the reason why game prices drop, right?
Right.
So get people interested.
Right, and that's, to me, is where the fact of it is that, like, you still have the opportunity. And this was something that I said yesterday on Addict Show. Is that when you look at, because of this evolution, there's some things that's going to just get left behind. For instance, when people, because somebody asked this question about, well, what about Blu-rays compared to DVDs compared to Blu-rays? So you're telling me that you can't, because you bought a DVD player, that you shouldn't buy or a movie, you shouldn't buy a brand new Blu-ray movie for the cost, which basically they were trying to make the argument for, the price of, $7 games, or like, for, let's say, Ghost of Tsushima, for instance, that's going to be charging people extra $20 if you've already bought the game.
For the nicer version of it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, the extra version of it or whatever. And because of because pretty much what Sony is charging you for is the haptic triggers, things like that, right? Because they said that in their point of why they're increasing the price. But my point, I said, was like, look, I paid for the console. I shouldn't have to spend more money on
you paid the price of admission.
I paid the price for admission. Why would I want to pay for something else? Just, what I'm saying, it say that that's included when that should already been the price of admission. And so to me, it was like, when you look at like,
you would also have a different approach if the other platform was doing the same thing. You'd be like, well, I guess I'm stuck, right? But they're not doing the same thing.
Right, and then that would kind of push me in the PC realm. Yeah. If Xbox was doing the same thing as what PlayStation is doing, then I would be like, okay, look, maybe now it's time for me to be a PC, primary guy, because I'm not trying to spend this extra money when I've already spent $500 for a console. That those extra features should be free, included with any game that I purchase. That's the whole reason for me buying the console.
Not free. I already paid for them.
They're not free, but you know what I'm saying.
But that's the mentality, right? You already paid for them by buying. I already paid
for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so. Well, my other point was about the evolution aspect of it. Was like, well, with the DVDs and the Blu-ray, it brings in more competition. Therefore, that's why you had your blockbusters. That's why you had your Netflix, and then you've seen the evolution of those red boxes and blockbusters. And then once the competition came to where Netflix they used to give you like 3 discs to come to your house, and then you send it back. Now it's digital. Mm-hmm. So how is it that gaming itself can't have that same type of evolution, but still have some of the old ways about them? But look, people are going to find ways to try to save more money. And then if you have something like Game Pass, that means that the competition is going to have to make some kind of sacrifice or make the same type of move. If not, then they're going to be like a Blockbuster or a Hollywood Video. That's how I see it. I don't know. Do you agree with that point?
I do. I do. Yeah. I mean, consumers are always going to be finding what's the most convenient, what's the most financially practical, and what's going to give them the best value. And it's in a company's best interest always to think in that mindset, because that's universal. It doesn't matter what the product is. That's what consumers want, right?
Right.
In regards to that, I mean, hell, I mean, you got also think about like the aftermaths of the pandemic, right? Like I think about like how I don't even want to bother going into a store now. Like I don't care. I don't want to, you know what I mean? I mean, like,
Right.
I don't have to interact with people in that sense. I don't have to play this game where I'm, like if I went to like a furniture store these days, I get it, because you want to sit on a couch and see if it's comfortable and all that sort of stuff. But like, I just don't want to interact. I don't want to play this game. You know what I mean? I just want to buy something and be done with it. I also don't want to be harassed when I'm at checkout, right? Like, I don't want to be like, hey, open this credit card and this, and this. You got to make it easy and quick for me to be able to get it. And, and certain online companies will do that sort of stuff. But, it's just, if it's easy and it's convenient, most likely it'll be part of your life, and you'll earn that customer.
Right.
And so you just got to think about it in that mindset, and you always got to think about it in that mindset. And here's the other thing too, is let's like say, okay, you buy a new console, Xbox Series S, Series X, PlayStation 5, whatever it may be, and you have a previous game. Is it beneficial for you as a platform provider to have that customer play that old game? It is. Because you know why? Because most games have DLC. Guess who's going to make money off that DLC? You are.
Right.
Does that make sense? And if they do some sort of thing that makes it relevant, that people want to play and people get into it, and it's a good game, guess what? Usually DLC follows that. It doesn't follow with all games, but I would say 1 out of 3, to be honest with you, modern day consumers. And you just lost on that profit, because you created this barrier, artificial barrier, for people to enjoy that product. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And I'm not saying it doesn't take work to use their haptic feedback system and stuff like that, but it's no different than Xbox having, honestly, the trigger shifters having rumble, right, on the original Xbox, right? Like, that took some basically programming and re-going back for certain games, and not every game supported it. You know what I mean?
Right.
How many times have you play a third-party games, like, they don't even bother with the rumble triggers. You're like, oh, man. You know what I mean? Like, it was a disappointment. So I totally get it. But, Xbox didn't charge you a premium for making that stuff available. Does that make sense? Like, they just...
Oh, yeah. No, right.
So, consumers they're not naive. You may catch a couple, but, consumers are still more outspoken now than ever, and you got to be savvy about that. So,
right, yeah, people don't want to be nickeled and dimed to death. No. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know. Sean Layton's thought process, to me, it seems very old fashioned. Even though he does admit that there's another phase to gaming.
Well, I mean, just the expense portion shows that I don't know, I feel like he's out of touch. Well, yeah. Here's the thing. So, like, what people don't understand with development, right? It's the employees are costing more, right? Because they want to make more money than they made 5 years ago, right? And
right.
They put in the time and the effort, and I don't blame them. I leverage those situations all the time. I've done it in the last 3 years. But the realistic standby is, I also don't need as many artists as I did before to create a AAA game that looks just as good as what I was working on before. And the tools are getting so much better, ridiculously better. Like, like to the point where, like, I don't know if you got a chance to see the demonstration that the Coalition did.
Yeah, that was going to be the last topic that I wanted to talk about. Yeah,
and it was good stuff. But I know people that are doing more impressive stuff with Unreal 5 now, and they're not the Coalition. Get where I'm going with that? So, and they don't have that staff, right? So that barrier to entry to be able to create products that fidelity is that barrier is going to be lowered, and it's going to be lowered very quickly on the industry. So if you're still spending the same amount of money, you have to start looking at it. It's like, you better release, putting out more games, right? you shouldn't have to put less games to do that. And if you're putting out less games, then you're not managing your studio correctly. Like, and I know that sounds a little harsh, but that's how I would approach it. Like, I'm like, okay, now I can do more projects, right? I can have less delay between things. Right? I can do more DLC. I can do more of these sort of things with the same staff. Doesn't mean you have to let staff go, but there's opportunities to create more profit within those studios in regards to more titles and more products. So, I mean, I don't know. I think he's just a little bit out of touch of where it's at and where it's going. So.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the whole Don Matrick situation. Pretty much
two hands off.
Two hands off, too corporate. I'm saying, you're not saying that the man is not a gamer, but it's
just not in the weeds.
And listen,
it takes a little
Jim
bit of
Ryan.
that.
Yeah, and I know that there's a lot of PlayStation fans that has a problem with Jim Ryan in this direction, but this is the right direction. This is what PlayStation should have been doing from the get. I mean, I made this point also yesterday, was just saying that, just think of what PlayStation Now could have been since they were the first ones to kind of open that door. Yeah,
they had a service. It was a streaming service, but they could have evolved it in something else.
Right.
In regards to that, and they just let it rot on the vine.
Right, yeah, and well, they wanted to nickel and dime their employees. Like I was saying, I've seen Final Fantasy 14, and I was, for the customers, it was Final Fantasy 13. I'm sorry, it was the first one, and they was charging, I think it was up to $24 to play it for, for like 90 days. Yeah, for like 90 days, and then like if you wanted to buy it, then it was like $50. And I'm like, I could go to GameStop and get this game for $9. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what are you doing? So
that's a tone deaf and not recognizing the market.
Right. And the lag was absolutely ridiculous because I signed up to the, I like to sign up to betas and stuff.
You like to be early.
Stuff. Yeah, I like to test. And so I was excited for it. Like, man, Sony's going to have a winner on their hands. But again, and then once, like I said, they just hung it on the vine. Then they came with their strategy. Like, look, console gaming should be all about just gaming. It shouldn't be about entertainment. It shouldn't be about anything else. And exclusives matter. And then it took off.
They went back to the fundamentals. And
they went back to the
losing strategy.
Now,
that's not a losing strategy at all.
Oh, it was a winning strategy for them for sure last year.
But once you get your fundamentals down, now what?
Mm-hmm.
You get, you know what I mean? Like, not to take it to sports, but like, get a new coach in there, they take them back to the fundamentals, they start, getting their flow, but, obviously all that stuff's got to advance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you got your fundamentals down again, let's go into the more advanced stuff, right? And where are you going to go with it? So, and I have faith Sony will figure it out. I just don't know when they'll figure it out, right? And I don't know what their vision is going to be, right? Like, I don't think it's going to be the exact same copy and paste vision of Microsoft. I think it's going to be something different.
Yeah, but I mean, what? That's the thing is, if Sony's not going to try to, Sony has all the they could have been invested into their backwards compatibility a lot stronger. I know that they have PlayStation Now and that they could put their older games in there, but if they put it on their console, that was a winning ticket. That was something that would have made me got a PlayStation 5 day one, because all the nostalgia of having those old games. But of course, and I don't mind them bringing in some remakes to their older games. But for me to go back and play those classics, or the reason why I was so much of a PlayStation fan, that nostalgia means something to me and means something to the PlayStation fan base. Again, that was a point that I feel like they missed on. And then just the whole situation of where they didn't want to, they wanted to fight against progression by putting their games on PC. That is more revenue for them, and so like, and if people don't, and there's going to be PC gamers who are not going to buy a PlayStation, not at all.
Not going to buy an Xbox either. Like,
right. No,
you and I both know people like that. Like that's
right.
There's certain gamers that just won't budge. I mean, in regards to that, so PC's neutral ground.
Right. So why waste opportunity to to not get that extra income. And then now when they started putting those games, when they started testing it out, putting those games out there on PC, now they're starting to see that, oh, we are making more revenue. So that's why they picked up that PC port studio. They acquired them, Nexus, I believe that's their name. Yeah. And that's what, and then they're going to go forward for that. And
they're going to do a lot more of that.
Day and date.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be day and date, because here's the thing. I don't think their games are set up for that. Okay. I don't think their engines are set up for that. I don't think they're a ways off before they get to that point. Does that make sense? But I'll see that gap. I'll see that gap between official PlayStation launch and PC launch. I see that gap narrowing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As time goes on, and when they build games a little bit more for scale in mind, and they start thinking and putting themselves in that mindset, that will also help lessen that gap. And eventually, maybe 4 or 5 years, you may start seeing day and date games, but I just don't see it happening right away.
No. That's why I said eventually. Yeah. No, I'm not saying. It will definitely be a progression, because they're going to slow feed a lot of things. So yeah, no, I don't know if Sony doesn't do something within, because I think Xbox could hit that 50 million threshold by the end of next year easily.
Yeah,
I really do. With Game Pass, I really do.
Look at Netflix. Has anyone got close to them?
No, and now Netflix and that's something that we probably need to talk about at some other point in time. Is Netflix getting into gaming themselves? They're going to start bringing in games. So
I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't think that's going to happen? I thought that. I need to get some more information about it. That's why I haven't talked about it here.
I think what's going on there is, how Netflix will do specials like The Witcher, right? I think they're partnering up with certain people to make movie IP. Does that make sense? Of already known characters, established things. So instead of having it hit the movies, it hits Netflix, right? So, like the Witcher series is, I think, a precursor to that you've seen on Netflix, and I can see that happen with other Sony properties. So, think about Uncharted. Like, I know that's going to go to the movies because they're already filming it.
Yeah, they got a movie.
Like, what is not Uncharted? But what's the other one that Naughty Dog did? The Last of Us. Yeah, I can see a Last of Us being a Netflix special. Right? That'd be totally up their alley. In regards to that, so I can see stuff like that with Netflix. It's just hard to just dive headfirst into gaming, right? Like,
even from Amazon and them,
the streaming platform sort of thing. Like, like you have to make a special version of the game just for that platform, and how much support are you going to get and that sort of thing. So it becomes a little bit more of a challenge in regards to, and streaming's not going to be easy to crack that nut. You know what I mean?
Right. No doubt about it.
I said it before, like a lot of people are going to try and majority of them are going to fail. And I still stand behind that in regards to that. So,
but it's just interesting that the big boys are coming to play. And that's why I was saying, look, I mean, Sony got to kick it in gear. Sony is fine. Though.
They have a war chest. They have to spend money, right? So, like, I think that's why you're seeing those rumors happen between Netflix and Sony. Is it's their intellectual IP, and just they have to film something. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just kind of they stay relevant, and so Sony has a lot of relevant IPs if you want to turn something into that format. So.
Exactly. That's no doubt. All right, so let's get to the last topic. And then I've seen some people was saying that the Halo they're showing Halo multiplayer gameplay, Halo Infinite gameplay. So right now. So let's go ahead and get to this last topic and then go check this out. Get to see some action. See if we got something that we could talk about. Maybe in just a quick video or something.
We'll hop back on if we need to. We'll do it again.
All right, yeah.
We'll do a little quick take.
We got time. Yeah. All right. So the demo from the Coalition. You've seen both of them. Pretty brief. A lot of people thought it was going to be a lot more in depth, like the PlayStation's Unreal 5 demonstration. But for what they showed. Looked really, really, really impressive. Now, like the person that they showed, that looked real good in detail. But what got me was the other one where they showed the orb and then the lighting of
rotating
the
door. Yeah.
yeah, then the wall and the fire going into the wall and oh man, that, and I saw that on my television and it made me like, yo. So I was like, that is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your thoughts about your initial thoughts about that? And I mean, and that's still an early build of what they can do with Unreal Engine 5?
It's not even a game.
Man, yeah, that's crazy.
People are just dumping assets into the Unreal Engine. But
That's
I think it was
crazy.
more important to point out that's like dumping the assets into the engine and porting it over to the console. They're very specific about it running on a Series X. In regards to that. So they're showing what they're showing there from a developer standpoint is they're showing it's like here's all these assets, here's some running. It's not something that was already done by Epic or anything like that. It's one of our third-party studios. They quickly put together a demonstration of it running like that, right? And that's the importance of it because, Unreal Engine 5 is not done. It's not a done engine.
It's not done.
It's not done.
God.
And I was right. They basically postponed it, but didn't postpone it, right? So they have early access to even from any person like myself to big AAA. In regards to that, and a lot of people are still developing it in 4 and porting things over because you can actually develop a full game in 4 and port it over to 5.
Right, I remember hearing about that.
And things work like versus like different versions of 4. Like say you're developing in this like say 4.15, and you want to port it over to 2.1. A lot of things just don't port over. Does that make sense? So your game's broken. Like you got like 90% of your game, but it doesn't run. Right, so you have to troubleshoot all that sort of stuff, and so sometimes people just don't bother with the latest version because they're like, we're not going to use those features anyways, or we'll sacrifice those features and just focus on what we have, right? And so the promise with 5 is you're going to be able to port everything over, and it's just going to work in regards to. So that's what I saw them showing off, and that's early stuff. I like you're going to be able to get a lot better looking stuff than that.
Man, pretty amazing. I just for what we've seen with Hive Busters, we were talking about how beautiful, and that was on Unreal 4. So so that still tells you that Unreal 4 still has.
There's a lot of things with volumetric lighting that you saw early on in older versions of Unreal that you're starting to see that turn up to 11 in Unreal Engine 5. Because the volumetric lighting with the bounce lighting. They have some of that going on in, from what I understand, in Gears of War 5. So they were talking about how they had ray tracing from a distance. That's what they're referring to with some of the volumetric lighting, how it all works. So it's a more primitive version of it. So yeah, I mean, and the crazy thing about working in, I'll say this about Nanite because Nanite is the part I'm most impressed with, which is. People don't understand, like, if they don't work in 3D, they don't know what it's like when you have a high-density mesh and you port it to an engine or you port it to, like, say, another software suite like 3D Studio Max or Maya or something like that. If I do some of the meshes that I've done in ZBrush and port it over to, without any optimization, and port it to an engine or port it to any one of those other software suites, it would bring my PC to a halt. Basically, you just wouldn't be able to load it. In regards to it because of the sheer density and the fact that you can do that in Unreal with multiple objects, not just one, right? Just literally an endless supply of them. You can dump them in there. And what's interesting too with LODs, like for example, typically there's 4 or 5 different levels of details on how most games are done, and they choose a draw distance where they pop in those, swap out those assets, right? As you go through the world. The way Nanite works. It really addresses a lot of pop-in issues. Does that make sense? Like it's constantly adjusting that as you zoom in and zoom out in regards to that. And like it has a different sort of thing. Like their pop-in looks a little bit different when you do push it to its limit, right? But it's not jarring at all like you're used to seeing in games. And so the fluidity of moving through that world working with Nanite, it's crazy. I can't even think of a reason not to use Nanite on a model yet. Just working with it, Then again, I'll find a use case where it's better to do it the other way. But just playing around with it right now. And, and then Lumen is beautiful. It's like instantly beautiful. And Lumen's actually,
because I've heard you talk about that.
Yeah,
a lot.
Lumen's going to probably, and that's basically volumetric lighting with bounce lighting, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But Lumen's supposed to replace ray tracing altogether.
Right.
Within an Unreal, so they're just going to get rid of it. It's still a feature in it, but they think it's just going to be phased out. And we're at early versions of Lumen. They're going to be doing newer versions of it, iterations essentially, that will make your typical ray tracing just irrelevant.
Wow, really? And ray tracing how long has ray tracing been available? I know
ray tracing's been available ever since I started working in 3D.
Okay. See, I did not know that. Yeah,
way before me, but it's never been available in real time. Does that make sense?
Right.
So,
right.
It's also one of those things. Ray tracing is one of those things that brings like a lot of movie special effects to make it look real. Remember when we were first starting seeing CG and it looked like, you could just tell it looked like ass, right?
Yeah. It looked like CG.
It had its own look, right? And it didn't look like part of the world. When you move to movie special effects, say like the latest Marvel film, right? Say the worst Marvel film you can think of, right? The worst CG, it still looks like part of the world, right? It doesn't stand out what it was CG, what was not, right? In regards to that, and so that part of that is ray tracing, be able to take proper light samples of that film that you did, and place it in the artificial world and be able to kind of stitch all that stuff together. There's other techniques and tricks to kind of make all that stuff blend, but ray tracing had a big part to do with that, and people don't realize that. But it's it's a hawk. I mean, it took forever to render something, right? Like you use ray tracing, and man, it just hopefully your PC doesn't burn down and you walk away. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was, right? And it would tax your CPU at 100% for like days. Matter of fact, I used to do, when I was in college, I used to do my own render farm that I would rent out. So I took one of my student loans and I dumped it all into my own server in my apartment, and then basically I would rent out that server farm to different studios and stuff like that, and that's how I paid for college.
Oh wow!
So now I can't do it, right? Because there's much more serious competition than what I can stitch together myself with my own dime, right? But yeah, that's how it kind of works. So
that's crazy. Viper, man, thanks for stopping by. I thank for everybody for coming by and checking us out here today. He says, what about Black Myth, Wukong being ported to Unreal Engine 5? Listen, I mean, for seeing those,
they could
the trailer.
They have some custom effects that are not standard in Unreal, so I'm wondering how those would port over. But in theory, when Unreal Engine 5 is done, yeah, they could do it. But right now, I don't think it's really worth for them because they're so far along in that game to port it over yet. I think just keep finishing what they can do for right now.
The game looks absolutely amazing, right? Like, I mean, there's, these are for games we're talking about, like maybe for Fable or, I don't know what engine Fable is going to be using. So
they'll use 5.
They'll use 5.
Well, there's rumors they're not using Unreal. I don't know where that's coming from. From what I understand, I thought they were using Unreal. Because they were hiring certain people in particular to work within Unreal at that studio. So it makes me believe that that's what they're going to be doing that game in. But
well, we know that Hellblade 2 is going to be using it. So yeah, and so which makes that when we first seen that trailer from Sansa, where she was doing all the crazy stuff with her face and it looked so real. The more and more you look at it, the more and more you get, okay, this can look like this. Because I mean, just look at certain games now. Like, I mean, the animations look so impressive. The graphics
you can do those animations with your face now with an iPhone.
Right.
Like the barrier entry. That's what people don't understand is like, the mocap suit that I'm going to buy, and like it's a suit. I don't even have to have a room technically set up, right? And I can literally do mocap for under like $2,000.
Wow.
That's not a lot for game development cost, right? And I can
Mhm.
buy an iPhone and buy a head strap and stick the iPhone in for me. I don't even have to put markers on me. I mean, that's just kind of where we're at right now, and people don't
That
realize
is
that.
impressive.
It's insane.
Viper says it's a Fable is using a Forza Tech engine. So,
I don't think that rumor's true
hmm.
because
So,
they keep hiring people that work in Unreal.
hmm.
I
Well,
think people should look at the job postings in regards to that.
yeah. So,
I mean, they do use the Forza Tech engine, obviously, with the latest
Forza.
Forza Horizon,
Right.
but
Yeah.
there's no doubt about that. But there's a lot of rumors they're using Unreal. So
Well, it's very intriguing, and I mean, it kind of makes sense in the sense where you see the demo of where, and I know this is more about the coalition because the coalition's always been using Unreal, but yeah, I mean, Sony is going to start using more Unreal from my
yeah,
understanding, right? So yeah, so like I
more
mean,
cost
instead of using
effective.
it,
It's
yeah, for
it's more
the
cost
decimal,
effective,
so
get better detail, and
mm-hmm.
Quixel is going to be a main staple that you're going to see around on splash screens of games everywhere. In regards to that, so
Right,
in
so
regards to that, so keep an eye out on Quixel assets and stuff like that because that now you can just port them in at the highest fidelity,
it's crazy.
which is insane. And it's free. You have an Unreal Engine license. You have Quixel. You have a huge library. I mean, we're talking about like you take any first party from Xbox or PlayStation. You have a higher fidelity and more assets available through just doing an Unreal Engine license with Quixel than any of those AAA titles. That's where we're at, and people just don't. It's hard to explain these things for people to kind of really kind of wrap their head around it. You know what I mean? But that's where we're at in regards to that. So
Yeah, so it's amazing. I'm very very excited about the future of gaming and where it's headed. I mean, I'm already having a good time as it is. So I don't know, but we're gonna have to wrap it up.
yeah,
I want to see this Halo thing. Want to see if it's still on, and if not, just go back and recap it so we can get a good understanding of what this is and what this and if Don is going to completely, if I have to drag him in, or if Don's going to be willing just to hop on the bus with me and we play
Halo
some
5 for life.
Anyway, all right, man. So, Don, where can they find you at? Thank you guys for coming and checking us out, man. I mean, of course, the earlier time seems a lot better than us coming in like thieves in the night. But yeah. But where can they find you at, brother?
Well, I think I got a soundbite for this.
Oh,
Oh, it's not playing. Well, I'll have to figure that out later. But the best
oh,
thing to do is follow me on Twitter. Everything I'm doing is there. Keep up to date. I will be streaming more. There's more things planned for the stream. More things planned for YouTube. Things have been hiatus, and I'm running out of excuses. My new office is almost done and ready, so I start putting out some content for you guys. So yeah, YouTube, Twitter is kind of the hub for all that, though, and I'll also be live streaming on Twitch all the time too. So
yeah. No doubt. As for me, check out my channel, KMEGA 405. I'm also going to be streaming a lot more. I know I say that all the time, and then you don't see me, but only just on fight night. But I plan on doing the same thing, streaming a hell of a lot more.
you gonna drag you, kick it and scream?
Pretty much, because
I
it needs to happen.
We need to talk about Friday. There's something might be going down on Friday before
Okay.
Halo comes out. So
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll definitely talk about that. Of course, the GRG podcast every Friday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, 2 a.m. GMT time. So for you night owls out there, I know I'm one. So you can come check us out there on my channel, and then Fight Night Sundays every Sunday night. I also will be doing, just playing some fighters. It's just do a little fight thing. Usually I will be doing that tonight. Just to play, just whatever. It might be just be by myself or whatever. But, and then I'll be just doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing Saturdays is usually our day. But, Don, I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed to be doing stuff with Don. I don't know. We supposed but you know, we'll just kind of
Well, if
play.
Halo comes out, I'm sure we'll
Yeah,
we'll play that together pretty early on.
We'll figure. We'll get the schedule absolutely right.
We need to start posting that stuff for you guys. We're sorry about it.
yeah, for sure. And so, of course, and then Devin the Gamer is here. So we'll be doing all that. And then, like I said, I'm working on another project, which hopefully I can have that running here in next month, at least by the end, if not, definitely September. And yeah, I'm going to keep busy now since I'm pretty much more homebound than more than ever. So we'll be doing in that. So thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate it. Until the next time. Also, GRG and Devin the Gamer is also on Spotify radio, also on iHeartRadio, also on Google Music, SoundCloud. And there's one more. I can't think of the other one right now. But yeah, you can come check us out. And you could also go to Podbean, and you can listen to us there as well. So after a day or so, this will be posted on YouTube, and then on my channel. And then shortly after that, probably the same day, it'll be posted on Spotify and all the rest of the platforms, just Podbean. So you can come and listen to us if on the go. So with that being said, man, thank you guys so much. Until the next video, might be something here a little bit later on today. We don't know. We'll see. Yeah, but other than that, man, we'll see you guys later, man. Thank you so much for the support, man.
All right, we'll see if this button works.